Hi, Brett Hadley with Real Word Films, and today we're going to show you how to use clamp lights for a video lighting system. Now, why are we putting this out on the internet since there's already hundreds and hundreds of the same type of video? I'll tell you why. Every time I look at those, they'll show one particular aspect of a clamp light. Here's how you do this with one. Here's how you do this with one. We want to show you what we did because we kind of got it all into one package here. So how to use clamp lights as a complete video lighting system. We're going to show you 5 things. Number 1. We're going to show you how to use clamp lights in a basic 3-point setup. Number 2, we're going to show you how to up your game a little bit by making those lights look a little bit nicer than something right off the shelf. Number 3, we're going to show you exactly how to secure those lights onto things so they don't fall off. Number 4, we're going to show you how to really up your cool factor by mounting your lights onto light stands. And number 5, we're going to show you how to control that light. Because if you buy a professional light package, you're going to get soft boxes and all kinds of stuff. Well, I'm assuming you can't afford that, else why are you watching this video? So we're going to show you what we did, and that's how to control your light with dimmers, control your light with diffusing, and also how to put barn doors right onto your clamp lights. So another reason I'm doing this is because I teach guerrilla filmmaking at a little place called Union College in Lincoln, Nebraska. I will probably force my students to watch this video to learn some of the basic skills of how to make quality, really good looking video using just what you have around you. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. This is the humble clamp light. It's also called a brooder light, so I found out in my research. So if you want to sound really intelligent, go into Home Depot and say, "Excuse me, I need a brooder light." See what happens. This is a humble clamp light, and they come in a couple of different sizes. This is a small, but you see these a lot. This is the most common. The second, you have this little larger one here, and this is the one we use mostly for our video needs. They do have these jumbo size ones. They're like, I don't know, for lighting elephants. They're huge. We don't use those because they're way too big for us. We use this one for most things, and then if I have color or a little space I have to get into, I'll use one of these. But they have 3 basic parts. You have the hood, scoop, or the reflector. You've got the socket. The socket is actually just a common household size everyday socket, which is great because you can use common everyday household size light bulbs, which are pretty cheap. I wouldn't recommend that, but you can also use par lamps, you can use floodlights, you can use fluorescent bulbs. I'll show you which ones I prefer to use for video because of their light quality, but it makes it very simple to pick up bulbs anywhere you need them, and it also then has the clamp. One other thing about lighting is that it's very inexpensive to keep up, so sometimes your hood might get damaged or bent. These sockets are plastic, they crack. Sometimes your clamp can get bent or something. You can buy all these parts individually and repair it for almost nothing. So they're very inexpensive to buy. They're very inexpensive to upkeep. Okay, so that's your basic light. Now, we're going to do a video later showing more detail into a 3-point system. And there's lots of videos out there right now that will show you great information on how to do 3-point lighting. For right now, though, I'm just going to tell you, you have 3 basic lights. You have your key light, which we have over here, and this is the one that's your brightest light, and it's filling in one side of a person's face. The other side is what we call fill, and it's coming in. It's usually about half the power of your key light, and it's just to give a little dimension. And then you have your backlight or your hair light, and what it does is give you a little halo effect, a little shine on your shoulders and your head. That's your basic 3-point light system. Like I said, we'll do a video later showing more in depth, but that's basically how you use a setup with clamp lights and a 3-point light system. How to make your lights look a little better than something you just bought off the shelf at Home Depot or Lowe's. Alright, so normally when you buy one of these, they're all silver. Like they come, like you see here inside, it's silver. They're silver all over. What we did is we took them and we painted them. I'll show you how we did that in our paint room. Okay, another way to upgrade your clamp lights to make them look a little more professional is to simply paint them. You can make cheap little Home Depot, Lowe's clamp light look a lot more professional just by using a little bit of high heat Rust-Oleum. Make sure you get high heat because, as you may know, these get pretty hot when you're using them for video. So make sure it's high heat. I like the Rust-Oleum myself. And that's another way to give it a more professional, sleek look when you're using clamp lights to save money. So when people walk in and they're going to see your lights, they're going to go, whoa, those are really cool. This guy really must know what he's doing. I have seen some people who paint the inside white. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it gives you anything. It might soften the light a little bit, but I like the reflector because it pushes the light out, which is what it's designed to do. But if you want to make it look even more cool, I guess, you could paint the inside white. Again, use high heat resistant paint, because if you don't, you'll turn your lights on and about 30 seconds into your shoot, poof, everything will burst into flame. That's generally considered not a good thing. How to secure your clamp lights onto things so they don't cause catastrophe. Alright, so let's say you've got a light stand or a PVC pipe or whatever it is you're trying to put these things on. If you take them and you simply hang them on with the clamps they come with, this is what happens. These things are what we call wimpy, wimpy, wimpy. They just don't hold very well. And in the middle of a shoot, they'll drift down, your light will be out of focus. Many times they'll just fall right off, especially if you pull a little too hard on the extension cord. Not that I've ever done that, but it can happen. And then with hot lights, you're breaking your bulbs and you're spending all kinds of money trying to replace your bulbs. No, instead, what you want to do is you want to take a spring clamp, which you can get at any hardware store. And what you do then is take your clamp light, put it onto whatever apparatus you're using, put the spring clamp onto that, and voila, it's going to hold 10 times better. Okay, so never use a clamp light just with the clamp itself. Always get a spring clamp and use that to secure them. That way, no drifting, no falling, no breaking bulbs, no scaring your subjects, and no spending money on replacing lamps. Okay, Chapter 4, how to up the cool factor by mounting your clamp lights right onto a light stand. Now, if you search B&H Photo or Amazon, you will find all different types of light stands, all different kind of brands. I like Impact, okay? Now, and they don't pay me to say this, although if there are any Impact people watching this, I would accept money for pushing your product. However, I do like them because they're a good build quality, they're inexpensive. I got a green screen kit from them, and I really like the light. Mine are air cushions, so when you extend the necks here, whenever you try to lower them and loosen them, they don't just whoosh, crash to the ground and destroy your lights. They come down nice and soft. I found a lot of them didn't have that, but the Impact stands do. Most of them, though, most brands will come with a 1/4-inch screw mount top. Now, what that means is that you can adjust these and modify them so that they'll accept a little thing called a finial to go on top so that you can mount your clamp lights. Here's how it works. Alright, the clamp part to the clamp light has a little piece here. And that piece is what allows it, when it has two little clamps that screw onto it, and that's what allows it to be moved around and focused any way you want. Okay, so what you have to do is to get that on top of that. You would be surprised at how difficult that was. Maybe you'll have better luck than me, but searching all over to find something of that size to be able to screw onto my light stand, I found the humble finial. And that is what this is called, a finial. This is the thing that goes on top of your common household lamp that screws down and holds the shade in place. Incidentally, if you're ever in need of a tripod and you don't have anything around, and if your camera's not too heavy, you can use a common household lamp, because the screw mount in a lamp is 1/4 inch, same as a tripod. So there you go, that was for free. Anyway, you take one of these finials, and it has 1/4 inch acceptance here, and you screw it onto the top of your light stand, and then you take the clamp off of the clamp light, and you simply attach it to here. And the finial is right here. You catch it, and all of a sudden you've got this beautiful looking professional black on black light that when people walk into your studio, they're going to go, oh my gosh, we got this guy. He's amazing. He knows what he's doing. Look how awesome his stuff looks. And only you know that you spent $20 to put the whole thing together. So that's how you up your cool factor. Once you've painted it, you can mount them onto your light tree, and you'll have an awesome looking studio. Alright, let's talk about controlling the light. When it comes to controlling your light, you want to be able to do three things. Number one, you want to be able to dim your light. Two, you want to be able to diffuse the light. And three, you want to be able to mask it in case you need to. First, let's talk about diffusion. Diffusion is just putting something over your light to make the light scatter. In a professional system, we'd use a softbox. We're not going to go out and buy a softbox. We're going to try and do this for really, really cheap. So what we're going to do instead, we're going to go to Walmart, we're going to go to Joann's Fabrics, we're going to go to a fabric store, and we're going to get some cheap chiffon type material. Okay, go to the discount rack, go to the clearance rack, you'll find this stuff. It's really inexpensive. You want to get some that's white and not completely see-through, and there'll be different kinds, different thicknesses. Get a variety, take it home, play with it, find out what works best for you. But basically, you just get some of that material, you cut it into squares that fit over your light, and then you take the lovely, common, everyday household clothespin, you drape your light over and clothespin it on. And that's all there is to it. And generally, I'll take and use 3 clothespins, and I'll go one on each side and one on the top, and I'll leave the bottom open so the air can get through, because that lamp can get hot, and if it gets too hot and it gets right up on the material, it can burn through, and that's bad. But very cheap, inexpensive, and beautiful way to diffuse your lights. Incidentally, the best diffuser I ever used, I was at a shoot once and I didn't have anything to diffuse with me, and we pulled out a lady's slip and used it as a diffuser. It was the best diffusion material I've ever seen. Beat any softbox I've ever had. So go down to Walmart or Target or Goodwill and get yourself a used lady slip. Great diffuser. Okay, now that we can diffuse the light, let's talk about dimming. Dimmers come with all kind of professional lights, and they're really good because if you don't have dimmers, you have to physically move your lights backwards and forwards to change the intensity. We don't want to have to do that, so go down to Home Depot, Lowe's. I don't know that Ace would have these, but generally the bigger stores do, Home Depot and Lowe's. These are handheld dimmers, and all it is a dimmer control, and it's got on the other end a plug-in outlet. You plug in your clamp light to this goes into the wall, and voila, you have a dimmer control. They work really well, they're really cheap, and you should get a whole bunch of them so you can put them on your lights, because these make shooting very easy. Okay, let's talk about barn doors. Now, I've seen some videos on the internet that use sheet metal and hinges to make barn doors to put on clamp lights. I guess they work okay. They didn't work real well for me, and I'll tell you why. Number one, if your clamp lights don't come with holes already in them, you have to drill holes into them. Okay, it's not real hard, but I'm trying to save myself some work here and money at the same time, so I'm going to do what's easiest. So number one, I didn't want to have to drill holes. Number two, they were permanently mounted, so once you drill the hinges onto your clamp light, it's there. And number three, the hinges are so loose that if my clamp lights were kind of at an angle or anything, they weren't designed to hold still, and so my barn doors would kind of swivel or they would just hang. So it had a couple things that were problematic. And also sheet metal was a little tougher to deal with, and as far as cutting it, you had to have the snips and everything, and I was trying to find something for all of us that was cheap and easy. So here's what I came up with. The tin casserole dish. Now this is extremely cheap. You'll buy them in 12 packs for a couple of dollars. And they're thin enough to be very easily worked with, but they're thick enough that they will actually block light really, really well. They're pliable, so you can bend them, and that comes in real handy when, barn doors you can move back and forth, and we're not going to hinge these, so it's important that they be able to be moved around so that you can actually focus the light. So we're just going to take the tin casserole dish, and we're going to use a binder clip, and we're going to make this our barn door system. Because the binder clip allows you to clip the doors on when you want them, and it also allows you to easily take them off when you don't need them, because you don't always need barn doors. So here we go. Tin casserole dish. Common binder. Let's make some barn doors. So, here we are at the work table, and I've got my material laid out in front of me. Step one is to cut out templates from some stiff paper. I use cardboard paper. You want to measure your own clamp lights and figure out what size you need for your barn doors to fit your clamp lights. I've got a large and a small. Most barn doors are built like that. There's 2 large ones, there's 2 small ones. So cut out your templates. You'll see I got my scissors. I've got what's left of a tin bottom. I've already been cutting. Here's my Sharpie, my binder clips. So all I'm going to do is, once I've got my template, step 2 is lay it down on my tin. And I'm going to take the Sharpie, and then I'm just going to trace around it. And it's a little easier than just trying to cut along the edges of the paper. A little more accurate as well. So I trace around my template, and then I'm ready to cut. Now, I love this tin because I can use just a pair of scissors to cut through it. Again, like with the sheet metal, you've got to use snippers. You got to have things that can actually cut through that thickness of metal. This is tin and everyday household scissors, and you're good to go. I love that. So yeah, just cut off on the lines. And be careful, the edges can be a little sharp. Not too bad, but a little sharp, so, you know, don't cut yourself. And there you have it. I've got one of my barn doors ready to go to the paint shop and get spiffied up to look good. All you do is you simply repeat, cut out a second small one, and then cut out 2 large ones, and you're ready to go. All right, let's take them to the paint shop. All right, once we got our barn doors painted, we're ready to put them together. So you see I've got my painted doors here. I've got a single hole punch. That's all you need to cut through the tin. I've got a pen I'm going to use for marking. I've got my binder clips, and then I've got just little 1/4-inch screw bolts and wing nuts to go on them. That's going to secure the barn doors onto the clips. Okay, so when the clips come out of the box, they come like this, right? So you got to make sure you open them up and get them ready to be clipped on, right? That's how you need them to be. All right, I've already done one here. So what you do is you take your barn door and you slide it down right inside, okay? Right there between the outer clip and the clip itself. And I've marked it and I hole punched it, and that's all I did. I was ready to take the bolt and the wing nut. Just kind of show you what I did. Same thing over here. Put that in there. Take your pen, kind of mark right there where it needs to go. Take it off. Get your hole punch. Come over here and punch it. Oop. Put it in the right place and then punch it. There you go. And again, this tin is so easy to work with because it's so thin. All right, so all you do from there is then you take it, you put it back in there, take your bolt, and you push the bolt through the hole. Take your wing nut, and spin it on. And again, it doesn't have to be, you know, super tight here. Just enough to get it secured. Okay. Same thing over here. And put it down. You're going to take a bolt, push it through. Push it through. There we go. And take our wing nut and screw it down there. And boom, there you go. It is ready to be attached. Open those and you can clip it right onto the clamp light. And it's cool. It goes on easy, comes off easy. Again, they're pliable and bendable, so you can really focus your light. You just repeat that for all 4 of your barn doors, and you're ready to go. All right, once you got your barn doors put together with the clips and the bolts and the wing nuts, you just bring it over to your light and kind of line it up there on the side. Put the one clip on, put the second clip on, and you've got your first door on. All right, for the next one, you just want to kind of visualize it and line it up where you think it needs to go so they meet together there. And get that first clip on and come over here, put on that second clip, and there you go. You're on your way. Just keep going around. You put your third and your fourth on. You've got the whole thing barn doored up. And remember, these are great. I love the tin because it's so pliable. You can bend these things. So bend them however you need them to go. Unbend them and use them again and again and again. And if they wear out, you just simply replace them. Again, they're really cheap to get those tin casseroles. Put them right back on. Okay, there you have it. How to use clamp lights for a cheap video lighting system. In quick review, number 1, we showed you how to put those clamp lights in a 3-point setup for shooting video. Number 2, we showed you how to dress them up a bit by painting them. Number 3, we showed you how to secure them onto your apparatus using spring clamps. Number 4, we showed you how to up the cool factor by putting them right on your light stands. And number 5, we showed you how to diffuse those lights, how to dim those lights, and how to barn door those lights for cheap. So if you have any questions or any comments, leave them below. We'd like to hear from you. Incidentally, this whole thing was shot on an iPhone 6. The sound was done with the Zoom H4n. Again, I teach guerrilla filmmaking over at this little place called Union College here in Lincoln, Nebraska. We're going to keep doing some more videos about stuff that helps us out in the field, stuff that helps us with our guerrilla, do-it-yourself type filmmaking. I'm going to show some stuff about sound, microphones, show you some cool stuff with dollying, jib, and craning. All kinds of stuff that you can do it for a lot cheaper than having to go out and pay Hollywood prices, but still create professional, really good looking video. So keep coming back, and if you have any questions on specific things about filmmaking, let us know. We'd be happy to answer them as best we can.